Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your host Shae Zombie, and I am here with a super fucking amazing crew. We have Nashotobi. How you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm doing right.
And I've got Matt C down below. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Doing great.
And we're here for a book that I didn't realize was coming out. Luckily, I think we're catching you pretty early on in your campaign, thankfully, because normally I find about I find out about this stuff when it's like 2 days left and I'm scrambling like, no, I need you guys to be funded. So we still have 25 days left, but this is for Colton Crux, which is a really awesome kind of horror theme noir type graphic novel, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So how about we kick it over to the both of you, and I'm going to bring up your campaign, and let's hear your guys' pitch about Colton Crux and why we should be backing it.
All right. So Colton Crux is an occult year about Colton Crux. He's a private paranormal investigator, occult specialist. He's also an exorcist. And what he do is, right now, he just banish spooks and dispose of cursed objects. This world is so haunted that this is basically like a blue-collar job. This isn't something like really secretive or special. Mm-hmm. He just disposes of cursed objects. There's a lot of cursed objects in this world because there's a really, there's a lot of history of occult activities in this world. So there's a lot of occult objects. Once he was really obsessed with finding a way to successfully exorcise the demon out of the person because it's considered impossible. In this world, if you're possessed, this is basically a death sentence. Even if someone can exorcise a demon out of you, you either lose your mind or you die. So he was trying to find a way to save people, but he couldn't. And now all the people he was trying to save haunt him. So he gave up and now just works as an occult specialist for hire just to make money. And this is book one is about him. But basically, there's a new opportunity to find something. Okay.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
No, it's so far it's very good. Like I'm totally on board.
It's really engaging.
So basically something happens and it's a new chance to find something more, and he returns back to his search, to his obsession.
Okay, wow. So this is...
So it's inspired by Lovecraftian works, but it's not set in Lovecraftian lore.
Like universe?
Yeah, it's not set in it's just inspired by it. Okay. And also it's inspired by old New Year movies, especially those with Humphrey Bogart. I'm a big fan of him. I'm a recent fan of him, but I'm already a big fan of him. I watched Maltese Falcon and I just fell in love with Humphrey, his portrayal of the detective. And the way, I really like the way he smiles. He has a really creepy smile. There's one moment when he listens to I don't remember the name of the woman, but she tries to trick him, and he just smiles, and that smile, he like sees what she's doing. The smile is just what I wanted Colton Crux to be. So like a man who sees right through everything. So that's who inspired the main character inspired by.
It's really exciting to hear somebody. So you get a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I'm inspired by Lovecraft. And you're like, okay, so you read like a Lovecraftian book once and you were like, wow, that was really weird. And now like you're a Lovecraft fan. But to hear you talk about like, oh, it's got some Lovecraft elements, but it's not set in that world. And I love Humphrey Bogart. And then you see what you have, and you're like, yep, I see the Lovecraft inspiration, because like these three right here that are like conglomeration of what looks like a teapot, and all three of them are pouring tea out of
I
them.
call it a tea party.
That is horrible. That is so terrifying. That is exactly something that
There's a really dark story to this demon. It's going to be one of the short stories. If I ever end up doing the short stories.
That it's really unsettling. It took me a while staring at that, because I was like, I feel like those are tea spouts, but that can't be. And I stared at it, and then the more I looked at it, I was like, that's exactly what they are. That is so scary. Like,
so it's from a short story that's about a woman who was really obsessed with her tea collection. What do you call it? Tea.
like the saucers and the crumpets. And
So she was a collector of them, and she had two small children that she was taking care of. They constantly broke her very expensive and rare sets. So it leads to very dark things. And this is a demon who
clearly.
I like how the demons are like manifestations of events in these characters' lives in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it reminds me of like Japanese ghost type legends and stuff like this.
Junji Ito.
Yeah, is that what they're called?
This is a lot like Junji Ito.
Yeah, I
so the
get
Junji
that
Ito tales, and I actually just bought 2 of them.
Oh, cool.
Oh, go ahead.
I actually never read Junji Ito. I constantly get that comparison, and I'm afraid to read him because I'm afraid I'm I either saw something I already did, and the way and my ideas in him, and I'm gonna not be able to use them this way, and at least have a way to say that I didn't ever read him.
So I can tell you this. It's very similar to Junji Ito as far as the feel. Now, as far as the actual like legitimate content, totally different. But that's because everybody's warped, fucked up mind is their own, and it's all different, and we're all super screwed up in our own ways. But the interesting thing with Junji Ito stories, if you've never read them or seen them, because they actually did some of them as an anime
I see a couple of
series,
pages.
They're horrifying. Like the way that he describes these creatures and these demons, and the way that they kind of hunt their prey, and like he's a master of suspense. And so for somebody to turn around, look at your stuff, and say Lovecraft, Junji Ito, and Humphrey Bogart, dude. Like you should be very proud. Very proud.
I am. I just don't want to read him, so I have like what is it called? That I can say I'd never read him if someone says this is exactly like Junji Ito.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, plausible deniability. Yeah. I recently had this. I don't know. I woke up and I had this really creepy idea right away, that I'm going through the field and I'm falling to the fall that's exactly the size of my body. So I'm just falling like a cork into a bottle. And I thought right away, yeah, this is exactly probably like something Junji Ito already did. Because I saw that comic of his, I saw a page of a comic of him, of his comic, where there's holes in the like a mountain, and people go into those holes. So it's probably something because of that page that came to my mind.
Well, and so if we're going to be wholly honest, and this is something that I think is actually really interesting when it comes to storytelling, because so you're Ukrainian, correct? Yes. Okay, so you're Ukrainian. I'm American. Junji Ito is Japanese, and you look at across all of these different areas, and you start to see similar themes in a lot, especially when you're talking horror. You see a lot of very similar themes, but you see themes from places that don't connect. Like, you've never read Ito. I don't know anything going on in the Ukraine, if I'm going to be wholly honest. And all of us can have very, very similar ideas, which if you really want to get existential and creepy about it, how much of that is because something like that actually exists somewhere?
I guess I would say
I like that.
like the really genius creator probably taps into something really prime, like a primal fears.
Yeah.
So that's why we like have the same, even though culture is completely different.
Well, and
All right,
when you start,
this is good lead. So in this world, there's different types of demons. There are like ancient demons. Those are demons who were born, or they were born from primal fears. So they are very animalistic and very like natural looking, like that page where the exorcism is happening. That demon is a demon of like decay and new life born from something that if you see it, yeah. So it's like a very
like elemental.
Thorns
yes, it's very elemental. It's very like a plant, like and so what I wanted to do with this demon, he's like a what is it called? This briar patch.
Yeah, sure. Like thorny and yeah.
So it's really thorny, really, and he's covered in flowers that turn into butterflies, white butterflies. It's because I once saw this picture of like animal corpse.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. Where
like then animal covered in butterflies, like butterflies, really pure white, beautiful butterflies,
they
just
actually used to call
devouring
them
this
corpse
animal
butterflies
corpse.
because of that.
Oh,
because
wow.
they're attracted to like carcasses and dead people and stuff, but they're like a small breed of moth. I know exactly what you're talking about, the little white ones. And they are the most pure thing ever. And I remember that there's actually a story or a mythology somewhere where they think that all of those butterflies that are gathered onto a corpse, when they fly away, that's the spirit leaving. And like that's like
I love that.
It's like a manifestation of the spirit. Oh my gosh. Dude, you did your research. This is awesome.
This is what this demon is inspired by.
Oh my gosh. And like looking at, because as I was looking at it, I was like, are these flowers that are falling off, or are these butterflies? I was like, because I could argue for both, and then you're like, yeah, they're flowers that turn into butterflies. And I was like, that would explain it. That would be why they look like both. Like oh my gosh, it's so cool. And I love the way that this is kind of almost like mixed media, because you have your main characters, you have the girl, and you have Colton, and they're very drawn, very like stereotypical comic book illustrated, right? But then you have this demon, and this demon isn't so much drawn as he is sketched. Like you've got looser lines, you've got the hatching, and it almost looks like when you rubbed graphite and stuff like that, as opposed to a solid ink line.
I basically painted it with ink because I was trying to at the beginning I was trying to like ink demons in monsters the same way that I draw everything else, and it just doesn't look right. It's too proper, too orderly. It needs to be more chaotic,
too clean. Yeah.
So in this world there's these ancient demons, and they actually aren't that dangerous, unless like I wrote it somewhere.
Really?
When they put their roots or claws into you, they aren't that dangerous. And around Colton, this picture, it's also all ancient demons. If you see, there's demons inspired by different visuals. Like there's a mushroom demon, and there's a like tree bark demon, and there's a briar thing. I don't know, what's it called, that plant? Briar patch?
Yeah, like vines or
thorny vines. Yeah. So
thorns.
And at the top, the skull is half like plant, like a half tree, and half actual skull. And then on a different side, it's more organic demons. Like there's a horny demon, there's demon with many eyes, there's like a hedgehog demon.
Well, it looks like you have one that almost looks like those ant hills or those burrowing like bugs and everything like that. You've got like some of that aesthetic. This is really cool. This is very, very unique. Like, gosh, I love seeing other people's minds when they create this kind of stuff. It's so cool.
I really like to there be behind the demons be like an actual idea, actual concept, not just something scary. There's for me, there's need to be a precise structure to everything. So there's the ancient demons, those are primal, very animalistic, natural, and there's the new demons. And these new demons, they are more like born from the fears of more modern people. So there's from different periods, there are different demons.
I love this. I think that it's very, very well done.
Thank you.
I don't know. It's there's something about you kind of mixing all of this aesthetic together that is just, it's really intriguing. Like, I'm already a sucker for Humphrey Bogart. Like, anything noir, you know, the Dick Tracy kind of look. I love that. I've always loved that. But looking and seeing you mixing it with this kind of like weird Lovecraft and with these like ideas of demons, but changing them. And so they're a lot more organic or natural, as opposed to, you know, most people go with something like, oh, if I do it big and imposing, that's going to be terrifying and that'll be enough. But actually seeing like, no, I created them out of tree bark and briar patches and butterflies, and, you know, and it's like taking your expectation, which is so weird because there shouldn't be expectations for demons. They're demons. Like, demons aren't of this world. They're not something that you can reach out and touch. So you shouldn't really have a set expectation, but we tend to. And you take that perceived idea and then you just throw it all away and are like, nope, what if it was a tree? And you go next to a tree, the next thing you know, this tree is like clawing into you and shooting a branch through you, because guess what? That wasn't a tree. It just looked like one. And it's like, oh gosh, that's fucking horrifying. Like, I'm never going in the forest again.
Yeah, like he's designed in a way that's it flows. You can already tell that it flows well with the narrative he's trying to weave, you know, where like people have these obsessions and really big scars and pains in their life, and I don't know, violence enacted towards them and that they're doing to others, and things can arise from that.
Right.
In the afterlife.
You do a lot of really good subtlety too. Like right here, you've got him smoking, and if you pay attention, you see all of the spirits that are kind of forever haunting him for all of his past failures are like showing up in the smoke behind him. And it's a really cool, subtle reminder of like, he can never escape that. That is always with him. Even as something as simple as I'm going out to get a fucking cigarette, like I just need a smoke break. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're still here. Like they don't leave.
Yeah, that's all those people that he was promised to save, and he just couldn't, because he lacks a knowledge. He lacks something. There's a knowledge that he's gonna to discover in this story. That's like a secret to the exorcism.
Oh, cool.
It was lost on purpose. Okay, so this is a very haunted world. This world is right next to the other dimension, like a spirit dimension. And the wall between that world and this is very thin. So things are constantly like coming through from that world into ours. So this world has a very very active supernatural.
Like the veil is very thin between the reality and the spirit world kind of thing. That's really cool. By the way, so I'm so bummed that my co-host isn't here. So my co-host is gone until, unfortunately, probably October, November timeframe. But this picture that you have right here, I guarantee would be completely up her alley, because she's super into cyborgs and into kind of like that half machine, half person kind of thing. And the fact that it's like, oh, this is a secretary. Like, how do I know she's a secretary? Because she has a typewriter for a head and she's got an armful of papers. She's a secretary. She is probably the most efficient secretary that you could ever have. And also probably the most horrifying.
So this type of creatures is called dream weaves. There's
Okay.
a different type of creatures. Okay, so this my story, my world isn't like a typical Lovecraftian world.
Okay.
It's inspired by Lovecraftian world, but I take a lot from modern fantasy with the hard magic systems. I don't know if you read like Brandon Sanderson or
I
did you read
haven't.
Mistborn, his most famous series.
I've heard of them.
I've heard of them. I haven't actually sat and read them though. But okay.
Yeah, so
I'm
modern
following.
fantasy, a lot of focus in modern fantasy. A lot of focus is put on hard magic systems. When everything can be explained, there's like precise rules, and then you introduce like a problem that breaks the rules, and throughout the book, this problem is solved. How it actually doesn't break the rule, but like there's a new aspects or new way to use the rules or combine them to solve this problem. Yeah, so basically I'm taking that idea of hard magic system and I'm using it with Lovecraftian lore. So there's a hard magic system in this world.
Okay.
So you basically use your soul to view other things that can do things in the spiritual world. This is a bit hard to explain. I had actually a couple of pictures that were explaining it, but it was drawn in a very old style of mine, and it wasn't good, so I didn't include them in this. So basically, there's a different type of or levels of dream viewing. So
Okay.
you are viewing like from viewing in your dreams from your soul. You're taking a part of your soul and you giving it a purpose. You can make, for example, a sword to fight demons, or you can make a mask for you to look like a demon. Some demons don't touch you. Or you can make an autonomous things. They can do things on their own from your soul. So, for example, this creature is a dream view. It's created by someone, and she's like a program that runs in your mind or in spiritual direction.
Okay.
It's a bit complicated.
It is, but it's really intriguing. It's one of those things that it kind of makes you feel like, while it's hard to understand, obviously, without you spoiling parts of the story and parts of the discovery, it makes me want to read it because I feel like the more you start to get exposed to it, the more it's going to just make sense. You're going to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is like how this works in
Yeah,
this
I'm putting
world.
a lot of focus on making it simple and easy to understand by introducing it with very small steps. So yeah, I understand that it's kind of complicated, but
I love this though. It's such a cool concept, and this is a really good design. Like getting good design that is not a traditional look is very difficult, especially when you're creating these kinds of like horrifying nightmare type creatures. It's really hard to get a good design that doesn't just look completely over the top. And everything that you've done with all of these it's all very intentional. Like everything
well,
about
yes and
this
no.
seems to
So
have a reason.
well, yes and no. So because most of these creatures are actually. So when I'm designing something, I'm not like designing a creature right away, a whole creature that I'm going to use. I try different visual things, combining them together, and then I see what works and what's not. And later, when I use it in a book, I just focus on specifically that thing that works. For example, like a first drawing. Sorry, different sounds in my language. It's really hard to.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Like, so this is like your first draft.
Yeah. So first drawing, for drawing, when the guy is on top of the creature with the scissors and trying to stick it in. You see?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so his mouth is surrounded by fingers, and that's the element that I'm going to use, and I'm probably gonna scrap everything else because I really think that part is really cool, and everything else is
I
like
didn't realize
fingers.
those were fingers. Oh my gosh. Oh, it like massages you as it eats you. I don't like it. Oh, that's really that like makes my skin crawl. That's good design. Good design. Gosh. Well, and I like, even if you don't end up using a lot of these, I like the fact that you take them and kind of just run with it, because a lot of people have a hard time, I guess, letting go of a traditional, like, all creatures, like if it's humanoid, it's got 2 arms and 2 legs, and you're like, well, unless it's 3 people together, or part, I don't know.
I feel like I was really inspired by anime that I didn't watch, that I just saw like on screen caps or on concept art, because I don't watch anime, but I feel like it's all inspired by anime.
Sure.
Like I just, with side vision, saw some things from anime.
Oh gosh, are his hands backwards?
Yes.
Ah!
And he actually has 2 more hands and hands and feet. He's actually so I like to all my creatures have like a little secret, like something I can use later, like reveal later. It's much more interesting that way. So if you look at that design closely, you see that there's a lot of problem with him, and underneath that coat is probably something totally not humanoid.
Mm.
See, that's the stuff that gets me, is when people take something and it, like, because at first glance I was like, oh, this is like some creepy, monster trying to look human, and then I glanced at it a little bit more and I was like, that hand doesn't look right, and then you look at it a little longer, you're like, that foot doesn't look right either, and you're like, are those hands in his trench coat? I don't like this. There's a lot going on that I don't know what's happening, because I feel like if I get close to it, I'm going to find out, and I don't want to. I really like that though. Like I like it, and I despise it at the same time.
Also, just speaking from an artistic point, I just love it's something that like it naturally fits the noir aesthetic of using heavy shadows and highlights and going for like high contrast dimensionality like you draw. That works really well with like the classic like horror genre stuff, right, obviously, but people they developed independently, and you're finding ways to naturally blend them really well, just in the visuals alone, not to mention the story as well. So it's really
like
nice.
all those things. I really like that era of American culture. That's early 30, 40 era. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
These are really cool creatures that you, like the people that you have to. I love the many looks of her, especially because her specifically on the bottom, it really reminds me of Blade Runner, where you have so think of your 2 mains, right? So you've got the girl that is supposed to be decommissioned, isn't supposed to exist, isn't supposed to feel. She goes through a bunch of looks that are like this. When you see her, she'll be like the middle look, and then you'll see her again, she'll be like the last look. When you see her another time, she'll be closer to the first. And it's so cool, because usually when people are drawing something, especially in a comic book, they do one character design for one character, and it stays that way. And that's always bothered me, because there's not a woman in existence who has one look ever. Like, go back and look at my channel if you don't believe me. I have 62 videos now. I don't look the same in any of them. So the fact
that's something that also always bothered me. And all of these people will have more or less fixed look to them, but this girl is just her personality, so she constantly changes her looks.
Right. Well, and that's something that I think that people should explore more, because it gives you a lot more freedom in your storytelling, because you don't have, as long as you can create, and I know why people don't do it. People don't do it because it's difficult to create a character that is identifiable no matter what they're wearing. So people don't do it, because if they stay in the same clothes, then you can not be as consistent with the necessary art to go with it, because the clothing is the same, so it's the same person.
Well, Colton, my main hero Colton will probably not change his clothes just because he's a single man who doesn't care a lot about it.
Right, but if you look at the old PI noirs and stuff, they had staples. They had white shirts, suspenders, a hat, a trench coat, and a tie. That was it. Like, and obviously pants and shoes, but it was the same look the entire time. And if you go compare a man's closet and a woman's closet, you're probably going to see why men tend to look very similar, especially if they're professional. They have to wear suits. They have to wear, dress shirts. There's only so much variety for you guys. It's actually frustrating for someone like me when I go shopping for a guy and I'm like, why is everything a white button-up shirt? And they're like, because that's what men wear. And I was like, I don't like it. I want a blue button-up shirt with like purple stripes. And he goes, well, that doesn't exist unless you're going to pay $80. I'm like, well, this is stupid. I don't understand it. But that you guys have staples that you wear every time. Women have staples that you should have in your closet, but that none of us wear. We just have them in case someone's like, you need to look more professional. And you're like, well, I guess I'll go get my white button-up shirt that I do have, that I have worn twice in 30 years. So sure. But it keeps people interested in it too. And she has enough of an aesthetic that you kind of get. It's still kind of Japanese inspired. It's still kind of, the longer black dress and some kind of, I don't want to say severe, but some kind of interesting look around her shoulders, because you have one that's boxy, one that is half sleeve, one that is cap sleeve, and you see like the lace and everything underneath it. And that's a really cool aesthetic, but it's obviously the same woman. I really like it. I think it's a very, very good look to go for.
Right. So let me tell you more about these people. So this is like a Colton's inner circle.
Okay.
Each one of them has like a different speciality, and they gather together so they can help each other. So each of them has something different to them. So this girl on the bottom, she's actually a scholar. She studies history, secret history of the world. There's a lot of secret history of the world because a lot of it was hidden by the powers, by the church, some things that considered are dangerous or give too much power to people. So there's a lot of hidden history of the world. And the first guy, the small guy, he's like so all of them, they don't reveal their names when they gather. So all of them are named by their specialty. So he called the goods. He can he find things. He sell things. He's like a merchant. So he finds things for them.
He sells things that he stole off the back of a car or a truck. Like he looks
he
shady.
disposes of things. So basically, Colton, if he needs something moved or needs something acquired, he goes to the goods. Goods find things. And the second one is called machines, because he's actually an occult scientist.
Okay.
He is looking for ways to combine magic and engineering.
Okay. So like part scientist, part engineer.
Yeah. And part magic.
Okay.
He's like an occult scientist, occult engineer. He uses so basically cursed objects are a source of energy in this world. So cursed gold means that this gold was charged by evil spirit.
Right.
So we're using the whole concept of cursed gold literally. So gold is like a conductor in this world. That's why it gets cursed. So it's like the best of conductors. Other things can be cursed too, but it is like the best of conductors. So that's why even Colton's cross, uncrossed, that Colton uses in exorcism is golden. Everything is golden. There's a lot of gold details, and everything golden that you see is probably have some magic to them.
Oh, like his little tie clip and everything.
Yeah. The tie clip has a purpose to it. Those chains from that woman have purpose to it. Everything in them that has golden has a purpose to it.
Okay. That's really cool, especially because we just had Tommy was saying that they really like the gold details, and now it's like, oh, you're gonna like them more because they actually have a reason.
Not all of them, but enough of them that you kind of begin to wonder: is it something magic, or it's not?
Okay.
So the bald guy, he's a occult engineer. He uses these charged objects to create a like a mix between magic and engineering, and he creates these impossible devices. So basically, if you have some object that cursed and has some cursed properties, he finds a way to use those properties in some machine for good. So, for example, if there's a object that disappears and changes places, he can use it for some sort of a traveling device.
Okay.
You know, and
So
the
cool.
third one, he's like a socialite. He finds he knows all the rumors. He knows what people need. He like connects people.
Okay.
So
He's
most
kind of
of
like your
the big,
information broker.
I didn't heard it.
Sorry. Like when you play the video games and stuff, you have an information broker, the person you go to that has all of the information and the lowdown on what everyone's up to and who's involved in what.
Yeah, so that's his role.
Gotcha.
So he's like a richer guy. He just, but he has magic to him too. If you see, his coat is laced with golden threads.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little secret to that too.
Ooh. Okay.
Because gold, if you make it into golden threads, you can weave it into fabric, and then there's can be a magic purpose to this fabric.
Okay.
I don't want to reveal it. This is
No.
kind of like a secret.
No spoilers.
But Colton has. So my idea behind Colton design, he was supposed to look pretty standard, pretty basic, but small things will later be revealed to have some cool purpose to them.
Okay.
Like his head, it has a purpose to it. It has a magic thing. His tie clip, his handkerchief has a magic to him too.
Ooh, I like it.
Cool.
That's really cool.
It's you have a lot of functional design embedded in this, which is nice. It adds value to the story because you know that you're not getting something that just it looks fantastic, but it also is going places. You can tell like it's in good hands with you. You know, the story, which is nice.
So my problem with the current comics is that you can basically read them by bubbles, by word bubbles, and you rarely have to look at the pictures to understand what's going on. What I want to do, I want to like put a lot of details into drawings, or at least as much as I can. So you will actually require to look at them, look through them, and understand what's happening.
Right.
So, for example, in the first page of the book, it's not explained what is this place, but if you look closer to it, you kind of figure it out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And oh gosh, it's just it's a really
sorry. What Matt said, so I really wanted for each design to have like a additional thing that later can be revealed. That this make design more special, more functional.
No, absolutely. I'm really excited for this. Okay, so let's go over your perks so people know how they can back you and what they can get for it. And then we'll go through some of the questions. We actually did get one question. Tommy wanted to know, are the pages that are black and white, is it going to be black, white, and gold? Or is it just going to be black and white?
I will still have to decide about it because I really like that look of gold with black and white, but I forget about that when I was writing that perk. I don't know if it's breaking my promise for the book to be black and white.
I think if you did the majority of it black and white and you had your spot color of gold, especially since gold has a storybook purpose in here, I still don't think that that's breaking the black and white. I think it's just accentuating the fact that there are certain pieces that instead of you having to explain that, hey, by the way, this piece is colored gold and that's why it does X, Y, Z, you can show it by having spot color and have it still black and white.
They would have to be gold. Yeah. I totally forgot about it when I was filling up the campaign that I have these gold elements.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, it's I think that it's a cool aesthetic. Like I love when people do black and white and when their line art and their inking can hold up to black and white. But I have a special like super love of when people do a spot color with it, just because it helps show, it draws your eye to that one specific piece. And so you have a storybook reason that it would make sense to have a little bit of spot color, and it's just enough to break it up, because what you've got down here with your character designs where they're all black and white with these little gold accents, it just looks so slick. Like it gives it that little extra. And I would still consider all of this black and white. Just because it has spot color doesn't mean it's still not a black and white comic, in my opinion. I think that it would be a really good one.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes total sense. So yeah, there will be golden elements because it's like a part of a story, a part of the world. So yeah, it has to be.
And that way you don't have to rewrite everything to explain that at some point. Okay, so let's go over your tiers. So for $25, you can get the book in color. And this is, who's doing the colors? Is it you?
Right now it's me. If by any chance we get like really a big sum, then maybe I hire someone if I will be unable to do it. But right now, yeah, it's me. Everything me. I do everything. I draw, ink.
Love that.
Someone else proofreads because my English is really.
Do you want to read it, Matt?
Yeah. Okay, so top one, one copy of Colton Crux, fully colored, with at least 70 pages of the main story. And if we reach stretch goals, we'll add more content by commissioning professional comic book artists to draw additional short stories set in the same world as the main story, exploring its history and lore. So I'm interested in hearing more about this. I think because this is going to go through with a lot of these perks. If you could just quickly, like, what's your thoughts on how this book gets thicker if we hit particular stretch goals with these additional stories you're talking about?
All right, so basically I feel like creators' campaigns are a reflection of their values, and I don't put really any values into additional things. I don't like posters, I don't like stickers. That's personally me. I'm not saying they don't have value. I just don't put a value myself into it, so I can't really ask others to put a value on it. So I put only value on content. So I decided if we hit stretch goals, I would like to commission other artists to draw a short story set in the same world. They're not gonna be long stories. I have a lot of like 2-page stories, 5-page stories, very like short stories exploring different parts of lore and history. So if we hit a first stretch goal, I'm gonna commission this artist who draws Karnaki comic. I don't know if you know him, but he's really, really good, and he's gonna draw a 2-page story called Angel Trap, and it's about. This is gonna be a spoiler, but everyone forget it anyway. So it's about that there's really no difference between demons and angels in this world. Okay. It's like all creatures. So this is just a 2-page story, and then I'm gonna add more stories, longer stories, different stories if we hit more. So I really not planning to make it like a hardcover or anything like that. I would rather add more stories to it to make the book thicker, to add more content.
And do you think eventually, at 70 pages, is it going to be square binding, like perfect binding, or have you looked into that?
Yeah,
so,
I think that.
Okay, Matt, Matt should really. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect binding is what we've been budgeting for so far. So we can go the full the full Monty in terms of the physical product. Should be exciting.
Well,
And at least the 80-pound interior pages.
Oh, nice.
Something around 120 for the cover. So yeah.
So that kind of goes into one of the things that Tommy and Alaz were talking about. The one problem with spot color, and honestly looking at it, since you've got your colored version at 25 and your black and white version at 25, it kind of makes sense that you would still do spot color, at least in my head. Because normally when you're doing black and white, it's saving you a little bit on printing. If you do spot color, it's not, because they're still going to have to put color in for those
the black and white version will be basic black and white version will be bigger than basic colored version, because it will be in black and white version there will also be sketches and world building explanations added to it. So it's basically like a sketchbook, but it's black and white version of the book plus sketchbook.
So then I guess the big thing with that is going to be if you are going to do the spot color gold like we were just talking, making sure that it's not going to blow up your budgeting for a black and white book, because normally you're saving money when you go black and white because they don't have to color, but if you're going to do spot color, they are still going to charge you as if it's a full color book, most likely.
I see.
So
same price.
Yeah, so I would say, as far as Tommy's question, stand by, because it's probably something that they'll need to look into a little bit more, and we'll
budget it like a colored version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, then that it should be fine. But
we really didn't think about economic, like saving any money in black and white version. We just budgeted.
You just went straight with if everything was colored.
So basically, the thing is, my black and white drawings are stronger, but I know that more people will buy colored versions, so I had to do a color version. So for people who are asking me what version should I pick, black and white or color, I would say go with black and white, because that's what I'm strongest at, and that's like the original idea of the book. And color version is just made for better promotion, to make it more attractive to more people. And also, black and white version will probably be exclusive. I will make a color version available later for sale.
Okay. So black and white is going to be this campaign. That's going to be the only time you can really
probably do it. Yes.
Okay.
Just to make something special for my next campaigns. But the comics will be available through color version.
Okay.
One of the nice things about your black and whites is that they're so you're such a good heavy lifter with black and white that it's not going to take as much with color. Like the cover, for instance, it's really nicely colored, and yet a lot of it has to do with the really nice the inks that you did. That's really carrying it. So you don't have to do that much with the color.
Or you can almost just put down flat color, because there's enough value with the black and white that it
and gradients.
Yeah. No, I like your black and white work a lot. I love the idea of it having a little bit of that spot color in there. But I also love the fact that you're like, this is what it was intended to be, because if you've ever seen a noir, that's usually what it is black and white. And even when they did Sin City, so they did, and that's one thing that I absolutely loved about Sin City, is everything was black and white, and then you had little spot color on the things that were important. Like you'd see a woman and she'd have bright red lips, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's like, oh yeah, she's a very important character. You're like, I get that. There's the red lips. I see them, And so it kind of.
I was actually playing with the same idea of making like specific colors for specific things and using them, but I personally couldn't make it work, so I'm just going to go with gold, only gold, black and white, and grays.
Well, and hey, look, we got a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks.
Thank
you, Tommy Sarkinen.
That is.
I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
But I like the idea of doing the gold simply because the gold has a story element to it. So it's not a gimmick. Like in Sin City, it's a bit of a gimmick. But for yours, this isn't a gimmick. This is part of the storytelling, which I think is really interesting to me. Okay. sorry, I got sidetracked. So the black and white version is the one that has the sketchbook like aspect added into it, which is super, super cool. I actually kind of like that you've done that to be like, so they're both the same price, but one of them gives you a little bit more added in already to the book, and it's the one that you put the more of the value into, because that's what you originally had in mind. And
well, that, and also some people might consider like black and white book unfinished, so I'm adding more to it.
Oh my gosh, it's Tompa! Oh, dude!
Oh, awesome!
I didn't know that was Tompa.
Thanks, Tompa. You're going to get a fantastic, fabulous book.
Yeah, thank you.
While
so
I know,
he's the one that's always promoting all the books. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the. So you want to know
the coolest person on Twitter, on comic book Twitter. He just promotes. He doesn't care about anything, any drama.
Yeah,
thank you, Tompa. Thank you for your custom promotion.
He's how I found
my book.
He's how I found this project, because Tompa pushed it out, and I was like, "Ooh, what is that?"
I think a lot of people find it through him. He's really big help.
He's phenomenal. And then I saw Matt, and I was like, "Excuse you, Matt. You and I have been talking. Why did I not know about this?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just a project manager." I was like, "That makes sense. That would be why I didn't know about it."
Should we explain that part better? Why Matt is project manager?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and talk about that, Matt?
Yeah. It's just a couple people have done this before successfully, and it's just kind of a business model that does seem to work well for people outside of the U.S. in particular countries where Indiegogo does not allow for creators to post projects. Right. So so I'm just kind of like, I'm the U.S. contact, if that sort of makes sense, and it allows for shipping to U.S. backers to be domestic. Yeah. And and we're expecting that the majority of people will be U.S. backers, so it just makes sense to not have to charge people more for U.S. backing if the majority of people are doing that here. So I'm like a waypoint in for him to be able to successfully fulfill this, which I'm more than happy to do, because it's fabulous art. And
agreed. Well, so now I have a question to that. So
I'm really grateful for your help, Matt.
Yeah, no.
If you have somebody in the Ukraine who wants to back, does that mean that they're gonna have to pay international shipping?
There may be 2 people in Ukraine who wants it. We really don't have a comic book culture here. There are a couple of people, but it's not anything that's going to be profitable for me. So I was already contacted by the Ukrainian publishing house to do this book, but I don't even know what I'm going to do, because Ukrainian prices are really different from. So not many people are going to buy it. Our wages are really low. It's like a $300-400 common wage. It's really low. So and comic book that's worth like $10 or more, just not going to be that popular.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And in all honesty, this is a gorgeous book, and a really cool idea. So I think the idea of we're gonna put it in the US, because that makes the most sense as far as where most of your sales are going to be.
I just can't do anything. I can use Indiegogo, so I can do any other way. Right. I need someone who gonna be like representing me.
Well, and we don't want to miss out on an amazing story just because the Ukraine's being stupid.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually really like a confusing thing why I can use Indiegogo. So basically, Russia annexed part of Ukraine, if you know that story.
Oh, wow.
Like, take our Crimea, and it's annexed to eastern. It's trying to annex 2 eastern regions of Ukraine. So America, trying to help us to help Ukraine, blocked accounts for those who live in those regions and fight against Ukraine with Russian help. And since Ukraine doesn't recognize difference between those people who live there and our people, other Ukrainians, so America basically sanctioned whole Ukraine. So we can't use Indiegogo because America helping us by sanctioning.
Because we're helping you. You can't use the product that you want to use.
We can't use Indiegogo. PayPal isn't coming to our country. We were trying to get it here for many years, and we can't use PayPal. I have to use PayPal actually through my Russian friends. I have friends in Russia, and it's very complicated.
It's okay. You know what? We got a workaround, and we get to see this beautiful book, and we're going to make sure you're funded.
Absolutely,
this is awesome. So for $50,
I feel like I was trying to find workarounds my whole life because everything here requires like a scheme. You need to figure out a scheme how to make something work. You can't use anything that normal people can use.
I just do it at face value. Well, thank you for finding a way to bring this to us, because
thank you for supporting my project.
Absolutely. I absolutely can't wait. Okay, so for $50 you can get both the color version and the black and white, and I'm really fighting getting that one because it just sounds so interesting.
1/3 of the people chooses both because they probably just can't decide or just want two versions.
Well, and then on top of that, I could share a version with someone else and they could give it back because I'm not letting anyone keep it. But, you know.
Yeah, but that's both versions, one colored and one black and white. There's different too. And there's one for 2 copies for those who like to read one and keep one pristine. So I added that perk too. And I also added 5 copies. This is basically for people overseas who like to pool. I found out that a lot of people pool and order a couple of copies for different people. So that's why I added 5.
Okay, for one shipping, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Good idea.
I'm so excited about this project, seriously.
Thank you.
Okay, so everyone in the chat, I need your guys' questions about this project. I know that we've answered a lot because we've actually been talking for almost an hour. But if you have any other questions that you would like to ask either of these wonderful men, please post them in the chat now. I'm going to post another link for the Indiegogo. So if anybody is thinking after all of this, like, yeah, I need to back it, they can get to it easy. So do you have anything else that you kind of wanted to throw out there about your campaign, or anything else about like the future of this? Is this going to be like a one and done, or is this something that you're...
It's definitely not going to be one and done because I built pretty extensive world for it. I was working on this world for 3 years at this point, probably even 4. I really developed a extensive lore. There's a lot of history to this world, so I would like to make more stories in it.
Yeah.
So I hope it funds. I hope I will be able to make this book. I will make this book in any case, but if this funds, I will be able to focus on it. Because right now I'm working on it at a snail pace because I have to do other things. I have to make money. Even though living expenses in Ukraine are really low, I still have to make money. But funding this project will allow me to really focus on it.
So you have
because at least I will know. So since Matt is holding all the money, I'm gonna get the money only when the project is fulfilled.
Right.
So this way, Matt will feel like more safe, that I'm not going to run away with the money.
Yeah, I think we feel very intentional about how projects need to be stewarded well, and they have to be stewarded very transparently. That this money, it is backers' money, and what we get afterwards only is what happens after everyone gets their books. That's very important to us. So we want people to see every step of the way that this is going for books. It's the purpose of books. That's why you guys are supporting the campaign. So that's why that's where the money's going. So yeah.
So yeah, so at least knowing that someone wants this book will allow me to focus on it, because I will know that I will in the end have a product that I can sell, and I will make a bit of money to offset my losses. But at least I will know that I will have a product that someone actually wants already.
Right,
so I
and
can focus
that's
on
a
it
huge
better.
part of this. That's a huge part of this. So Tompa actually did have a question. He said, "Did you have any tabletop gaming?" Because
Actually, no, because
RPG.
Actually, no, because tabletop games also is really expensive in Ukraine, so there's not a big culture. So only recently I bought Carcassonne, so this is not like a serious tabletop game, but my daughter loves it. We constantly use it to put together cities and rivers. I'm really obsessed with tabletop games. I like to research them and figure out their mechanic. I spent a couple of years trying to develop my own game, but I fell at so I know a lot about tabletop game, but I just can't afford it because they cost too much.
I mean, I feel the same way, and I'm in America. I still feel like they cost a really expensive amount of money.
Yeah, they're expensive here too.
$50? Oh, I don't want to pay $50. Like, yeah, but it's gonna take you like 4 days to play. I'm like, I also don't have 4 days to play a game. I don't understand who gets these. I have 3 jobs. Okay, I don't understand how people are playing tabletop games unless I do one of them on stream and we all get like Arkham Horror and just play it together. It's the only way that one of my jobs is going to be able to do this.
I wouldn't even have anyone to play with because there's not like a tabletop culture here, big tabletop culture here. I live in a really small city in Ukraine, so there may be people who play it in capital or regional centers, but here this maybe if I can convince my wife play it with me, that's it. I'm waiting for my daughter to grow up so I can convince her to play tabletop games and buy them for her.
There you go. You'd be like, this is for you, and daddy's going to play with you, and it's going to be totally fine. See, that's why we have
your 6th birthday. We're going to buy you Scythe. You know Scythe? The game illustrated by, you know the game?
I don't.
It's a really complicated game with very cool world building. So basically, it started as a series of drawing by the Polish artist. He took like a Slavic culture, Polish, Russian, Belarusian, and add mechs to them. So it's like a mechs in the field.
That sounds awesome.
You never see it? So Scythe, like a thing that you...
Yeah, the sword. Scythe. Yeah. We say scythe. But
Scythe. Oh, yes.
Maybe
Scythe.
you say scythe. Maybe that's the correct way.
Okay, so research it, and look at the art. Art is just fantastic. The world is just amazing.
I just pulled it up. Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I heard there's some accusation that he's either stole some things from someone, but it still looks amazing.
Wow. Slavic culture and mechs. That's really cool.
Yes, and like a really rustic Slavic culture. It's just incredible.
200 years ago. Yeah.
So it oh my gosh, it's set in 1920s.
Mm-hmm. But there's mechs, really cool mechs.
Wow, yeah, no, that looks really cool.
It's like a second war or maybe a First World War, but with mechs.
Yeah.
And in the fields of wheat, I don't know, wheat.
Super pricey game, by the way.
Yes.
$90 for the first bit, not even all of the expansions, which from what I saw there was like 5.
But you get like little mechs that you can paint and like
all right, anyway, so we have another question. So as the book is printed in the US, have you thought with Matt of any way to offer signed postcards or something like that?
We haven't discussed that. I don't know how we could go about doing that.
You know what? I actually have a thought on how you could do something like that. But I would definitely do it as a stretch goal. So with everything that you've got, you're trying to get, in order to get funded, you're trying to get to 15,000. I would maybe say if you end up hitting 20 to look into something like that. And then you could do, if you found a piece of artwork, this is coming from somebody who does postcards. of artwork for other people. Like I print up Essie Tonks' stuff. If you had a postcard of something that you really liked, like whatever design, finding a smaller place to print it, either having somebody who does it at home or finding if you can find it really cheap somewhere else, get it printed, and then see if you can't like UPS or something to you to have you sign and then pay for shipping back, and just do that out of the stretch goal money.
So it's probably still will be really complicated and costly. And again, I would rather put that money to more content, to create more content. Like I can probably commission a few more pages of content, like from a really cool artist, than do that, because I know people, I know other creators offer a lot of signed copies and signed things, but first of all, my signature is really awful. It's just awful.
Oh, come on.
I put like it's something. Why do you need that? And I'm not like some big creator. This is my first book. Maybe when we create.
Know why everyone wants it? It's because it's your first book. So that you can go through and say, when you become big, the reason that people want something signed from you now is because then they have proof that they knew you now.
Yeah, but I feel like when people see the signature, my signature, their book, and they will feel like I make it worse, like someone just because that's my signature. My signature is just like because I just constantly, like, someone says sign this, I'm just trying to get out of there. I just take this, and no one can say anything. People just can say like, this is not a signature. Yes, it is. This is my signature. It's like, go like
so we could work on an artist signature for you. But also you could even do it where if you had a piece of artwork that you liked that people were maybe wanting to offer for, like you wanted to offer for postcards, since most of like your stuff is being done digitally, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So digitally sign it
Yeah,
in the actual artwork, and then people can have it printed up, and you can say that the only time that you're going to do this is during this campaign, or
later if someone scans and it prints it.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea, because that still maintains the exclusivity of it.
I don't know. I just feel like fake. I just feel fake, like signing something. Like I didn't accomplish anything. This is not for.
Okay, so
I need to at least put out one book.
This isn't me talking you into it, but this is me saying at least something about you haven't accomplished anything. That is quantifiably false. You have an Indiegogo up with absolutely beautiful art. You have currently 70 people who believe in your project.
Yes.
And you still have 25 days left to hit your funding goal. You have already achieved something that many artists are going to never get. And something
That's true, but still it doesn't feel me to sign things.
Which is totally fine and understandable, but I'm saying do not undercut yourself because you feel like you are a nobody, because just like Tompa said right here, we're mostly helping out first timers. It's just nice to look like a thing to be able to look at 5 years from now. So when you're putting out your 4th or 5th book of Colton Crux, and I can go back and go, I backed the first one, and look at how far it's come.
Yeah, but the signature, this is my first reaction when I hear some first timers signing their books, like offering signed books. My first reaction is like, did you needed to do that? So I can myself do that. Expect myself to offer any stickers because I don't like stickers. So I don't like signed copies.
That's totally fair.
Maybe if on a second campaign that would make more sense to me, but right now it's just waste of time and resources that I would rather put to more content.
You know what?
I'd rather hire other artists. And
I don't see anyone who can honestly argue that. I just don't want you to undercut yourself because you have already achieved more than most artists will ever achieve.
Yeah,
and
you're in a select minority now because you didn't just have an idea, because everyone has good ideas, I think, but following through for years and building this out and then producing it is something that that sort of work ethic isn't something that everyone has.
Exactly.
So, and people are responding well. They can see that you're hardworking. You don't just have ideas, but you're going to follow through.
Absolutely.
So. I'm not even good with compliments.
We can tell.
That's fine. You can sit there and be as awkward as humanly possible the entire time, because if you think that you're alone in that, the amount of people that I have on my show that are like, but I'm not a real artist, and I'm like, there's a whole campaign on my screen that would say otherwise, but okay. You know, I do shitty hand turkeys. You want not a real artist? This is not a real artist. This is a creative person who cannot actually do other things because I just don't take the time to learn. But you, sir, are an artist and a storyteller, and you have a really phenomenal looking project that I am super excited for. I really want to have you on again before your campaign ends, and so we can see the progress. Hopefully by that time you're going to be well past funded, and we can talk about how amazing this book is going to be and how it absolutely deserves everything that it's gotten. But I want to see you get comfortably past that 15,000. That would be.
I personally would like to just reach 15,000, and then I can completely relax, because I know if I'm going to just focus on my work and show people more of my work, that it's going to hit more than 15,000 eventually. People just gonna come, but this 15,000 is driving me insane. I can't sleep. I'm very anxious. I can't draw. I can't focus on anything.
Welcome to the party.
That's called having an active Indiegogo.
But you know what? The moment you fulfill and you're done, you're gonna have such a low, because there's a high to the stress that you're gonna crave now. Now that you've had a taste of it, it's like a taste for blood. You're gonna want more. Well, you're gonna come back for more Indiegogos now.
And that comes for so many different things. Like me starting this stream, the amount of times when I have been sitting here and I'm just like, nobody even watches, nobody even cares, and then I get campaigns like this on, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who's on next? I have to do another one. Like, you just start chasing after him, because so far, the campaign that I did yesterday, which unfortunately was taken down for no reason. Not that I'm bitter at all. That was a campaign that a lot of the people that I talked to online had no idea existed. And they were like, I've never seen this. I've never even heard of this. And I'm like, it's beautiful. How have you not heard of it? And I was like, oh my gosh, people are discovering things. And then I have you on, and you're nervous about talking about your campaign, but you're doing absolutely phenomenal. And Tompa just backed you live while we're here talking about it. And like that gets so exciting, and that's so cool to see, because you guys deserve all of this attention and support. And that's why I can't wait to have Matt on tomorrow, because you guys deserve it. And I believe in your guys' campaigns enough, because I don't put stuff on my channel that I don't like. Just plain and simple. So
well, we're happy to be here. It's a real honor, honestly.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for you. Hosting us.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I want to have you guys on again before this campaign ends. And I'll probably have you on again when you do go in demand, because I guarantee if you don't go in demand, I'm going to riot in the street if you don't get funded. And then in demand, I will burn something. I don't know what, but I will find something and burn it in protest.
Well, it's a hard time, and a lot of people don't have money, so I completely understand if it fails for that reason. I also completely understand if it just doesn't appeal to a lot of people. So
people and have conversations with people, because it should. This is awesome.
So not yesterday. Day before yesterday, my campaign. Okay, so there's this site in Imgur, and if you know what you're doing, you can make your post go viral, and a lot of people are gonna see it. Like more than 100,000 of people are gonna see it. So I did this a couple of times with my post, but then I didn't have anything to sell. So it's like reaches first page, and about like 200 1,000 of people see it, 500,000 people can see it. And I was trying to make my campaign go viral again. And it took me 5 days to make it go viral, just posting it and figuring out different picture, different title. And it finally went viral and just 3 people bought it. And I know that I did this before for other creators. And I know that I made them a lot of money.
Yep.
I'm talking about like $800 for one campaign and
Wow.
2,500 for Rex. I think it was 2,500 I made for Rex comics.
Wow.
And they have a really cool comics.
Oh yeah. My husband did an alternate cover for them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they have a really cool comic, and a lot of people don't know about it, and a lot of people learn it about it at the same time, and a lot of people bought it. So yeah, and I just sold 3 copies, and it was kind of either people don't have money or people just doesn't want to.
I think that a lot of people, it's such a weird time right now that you have a lot of people that don't know what it is that they're wanting to do, but you also have a lot of people that are home and that are bored out of their minds and are going, you know what, I want some kind of interesting entertainment. I just think that it's a matter of getting it out there more. And the fact that you do still have almost a month means that people might have been putting money towards other things. Like I, unfortunately, am going to have to wait until next month before I can back you. However,
well, just to be clear, I don't resent people for not supporting my campaign. I totally understand.
No. Of course not.
I totally understand, especially if people don't have money, and it's probably a smarter decision to, if you don't have money to spare, it's probably smarter just to keep it for your personal expenses, because we really don't know what's going to happen. So I would like to find my project, but it's going to be what it's going to be.
I think probably the important takeaway for everyone is, while yes, Shae currently is saying, get off your asses and go back this project because it's amazing and I want my damn noir comic. If you are not able to back, everybody understands. Mostly. I'll pretend I understand. No, everyone understands. And this team and the way that you guys have it worked out, you're not just going to go away. So if it doesn't fund this time, you'll reassess, you'll go through and probably relaunch and probably try again after a little bit more time has passed and maybe things are a little bit more certain for people, because you have a great product here and it's something that you're passionate about and it's something that Matt is passionate in helping you get out there. So it's not going to just one and done and disappear because something
at this point I just have to make this book because I'm really attached to it, because I spent like 3 years of my life developing it and I grew really attached to the main character, to his tragedy and his goals. So I just have to make this book.
Right. And so because you have that drive, this book is going to be made one way or another.
Absolutely.
You just would prefer it to be made without you having to do it over the course of the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So final question before we head off. Tom wants to know, is this your first 30 days?
Yes.
Ooh, so there is...
Yeah, we just launched a couple of days ago.
So there is a chance for you to extend to hit 60 days. Okay, all right. That's good news. So if you don't have money now, you'll probably have money sometime in the next month and a half-ish. I'm assuming you'd have $25 that you could kick to this project because it's beautiful and definitely needs to be funded. But
well, not 25, at least 35, because US shipment is going to be $10.
So have 40. Just have 40 ready, just so you're good. But if you don't have $40 in the next month and a half, I'm gonna kick you in the butt. Definitely go and support this awesome project. You are phenomenal guest. I don't even know why you were worried about being on here. You were absolutely stupendous. This was great.
Consider that maybe it's also your achievement, because you're a really good interviewer. You're able to I was able to relax.
Good. Yes, that was my goal. I'm so happy. No, you guys are phenomenal. Thank you both so much for being on. I definitely want you guys to come back. This is super great. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much to the chat. Thank you, Tompa, Vinny, Alaz. Who else did we have in here? We had earlier on, we had just a kid from Brooklyn. Super awesome stockpile of the time. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting this project and helping getting eyes on it. Please, if you haven't backed, the link is in the chat. It's also in the channel description. Please go and consider backing Colton Crux. This is such a cool project, and I'm super, super stoked that this exists. And as always, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you guys.